After 21 years investigating UFOs for the British government, Nick Pope thought he'd seen everything. Then came the London art shop incident, a case so bizarre that it sounds like science fiction, yet the evidence baffled investigators. Multiple witnesses walked into a central London store, all behaving in ways that defied human logic. They made a big show of buying a single pencil, handed over a high-denomination banknote, then looked completely confused when offered change, as if they didn't understand the concept. The shop owner was so struck by their behavior that she phoned authorities afterward, saying there were aliens in her shop. With 2025 bringing unprecedented government transparency about UAPs, Pope is finally ready to discuss the encounters that made him question whether we're truly alone, and whether some visitors might be hiding in plain sight. But this openness represents a dramatic shift from how these investigations began. The evolution of government UFO disclosure. The decades of secrecy that defined Pope's early career have given way to an era where government officials acknowledge UAP encounters in congressional hearings. When Pope first started investigating UFOs for the Ministry of Defense in 1991, discussing these cases openly meant career suicide. The official position was simple: UFOs didn't exist, witnesses were mistaken, and anyone suggesting otherwise lacked credibility. Pope worked in near isolation, filing reports that disappeared into classified vaults, while the public received sanitized press releases, dismissing every incident as weather balloons or military exercises. 3 key milestones marked this transformation from denial to acknowledgement. Project Blue Book's closure in 1969 officially ended government UFO investigation, declaring no evidence of extraterrestrial visitation. The UK's Condign report in 2000 acknowledged unusual aerial phenomena, but concluded they posed no defense threat. Then came the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office under National Defense Authorization Act mandates, which received 757 UAP reports in fiscal year 2024, compared to just 291 the previous year, with officials testifying about unexplained encounters in public congressional hearings. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office represents the most dramatic shift in government approach. AARO operates with congressional oversight and public reporting requirements that would have been unthinkable during Pope's tenure. Where Pope once worked alone with minimal resources, AARO coordinates between multiple agencies with substantial funding and advanced detection systems. The office publishes detailed case studies that include witness testimonies, sensor data, and analysis methodologies. Legislative changes have mandated transparency at levels Pope never imagined possible. The National Defense Authorization Act now requires annual UAP reports to Congress. Intelligence agencies must brief lawmakers on historical cases previously buried in classified archives. Whistleblower protections exist for personnel reporting UAP encounters, removing the fear of retaliation that kept witnesses silent during Pope's era. Pope's methodical approach to investigation established protocols now used across government UAP programs. His emphasis on witness credibility, multiple source verification, and scientific analysis became the foundation for modern UAP research. The techniques he developed for evaluating radar data, correlating witness accounts, and assessing pilot testimony appear throughout current AARO methodologies. His work proved that serious scientific investigation could be applied to phenomena previously dismissed as folklore. This unprecedented openness creates a fascinating paradox. Government officials now acknowledge that some UAP cases represent technology beyond current human capabilities. They admit that certain encounters involve craft demonstrating physics-defying performance characteristics. Yet the most compelling cases from Pope's archives remain classified at levels higher than nuclear weapons programs. The contradiction becomes more apparent when examining specific disclosure patterns. Military personnel can now discuss recent UAP encounters without career consequences. Current pilots receive official channels for reporting anomalous aircraft. Meanwhile, witnesses from Pope's era still face classification restrictions on cases from the 1990s. Some incidents that occurred 30 years ago remain more heavily classified than contemporary encounters involving identical phenomena. Pope witnessed this transformation from the unique position of someone who lived through both eras. He experienced the isolation and stigma of investigating UAPs when such work was career poison. Now he watches congressional representatives demand answers to questions he was forbidden from asking publicly. The same military installations that denied UAP incidents during his tenure now acknowledge ongoing encounters with unidentified craft. Current disclosure efforts focus primarily on recent military encounters captured by advanced sensor systems. The emphasis remains on nuts and bolts craft displaying unusual flight characteristics. Yet Pope's archives contain cases involving consciousness effects, telepathic communication, and reality-bending encounters that defy conventional analysis. These aspects of the phenomenon remain largely absent from official discussion. The selective nature of disclosure becomes clearer when examining which cases receive public attention. Recent military encounters with metallic objects performing extraordinary maneuvers get congressional hearings and media coverage. Pope's documented cases involving entity encounters, reality distortions, and consciousness-related phenomena remain buried in classified files. The government appears willing to acknowledge advanced technology, but reluctant to discuss the more ontologically challenging aspects of UAP encounters. This new environment affects how historical cases can be investigated and understood. Modern detection systems can potentially validate radar data from Pope's era that was previously dismissed as inconclusive. Advanced analysis techniques might reveal patterns in historical sightings that weren't apparent with 1990s technology. Contemporary medical research could explain physiological effects experienced by witnesses in Pope's cases. Yet significant barriers remain. Classification systems established during Pope's era continue protecting the most sensitive cases. Interagency coordination problems that frustrated Pope's investigations persist despite official commitments to transparency. Cultural resistance within military and intelligence communities still influences which information gets released and which remains hidden. Pope's unique perspective reveals both the progress made and the limitations of current disclosure efforts. He understands which aspects of the phenomenon remain hidden and why certain cases stay classified despite growing transparency pressures. His experience bridges the gap between decades of secrecy and emerging openness, providing context for understanding what current disclosures actually mean. The evolution from Pope's isolated investigations to today's multi-agency programs demonstrates that official attitudes toward UAPs can change dramatically. However, the most profound cases in Pope's files suggest that full disclosure would require acknowledgments about reality that go far beyond advanced aircraft or foreign technology. This framework shapes how we should examine Pope's classic cases, where each incident must be viewed through the lens of what governments were willing to hide for decades and what they're finally ready to acknowledge. Some cases from Pope's tenure remain so extraordinary that they challenge our understanding of what's possible, even in today's climate of increased transparency. The Cosford Incident Revisited. The Cosford Incident of March 31, 1993, stands as one of the most documented and disturbing cases in Pope's files. This wasn't just a single sighting, but a coordinated wave of encounters involving massive triangular craft that appeared across multiple counties. These weren't distant lights or ambiguous shapes. Witnesses described enormous structured objects, some estimated at over 200 feet across, moving with deliberate purpose through British airspace. Psychological impact on witnesses was immediate and profound. One pilot spotted this huge triangular craft hovering near his home and made a decision that defied all rational thinking. He grabbed his car keys, started the engine, and began pursuing this unknown object down country roads at 35 to 40 mph, as documented by Pope. His family sat in the back seat screaming at him to stop, but something about the encounter had triggered a response that overrode normal caution. This wasn't curiosity or scientific interest. The craft had somehow compelled him to follow, creating a behavioral change that witnesses struggle to explain even decades later. The pursuit lasted several miles before the object simply accelerated away at impossible speeds. The witness described feeling frustrated and confused after losing sight of the craft, as if he'd been snapped out of some kind of trance. His family remained shaken by his behavior, describing it as completely out of character. This wasn't someone known for reckless decisions or impulsive actions, yet the presence of the triangular craft had triggered responses that seemed to bypass his normal decision-making processes. A farmer in the same area reported seeing the craft flying extremely low over his property. The altitude was so unusual that he assumed it must have landed somewhere nearby. When he investigated the following morning, he discovered something that still gives investigators pause. Every cow in his field was standing in a perfect circle, all facing inward toward the center, as farmers reported to authorities. The animals had arranged themselves in a formation that agricultural experts had never documented before or since. Pope noted that the scene looked like something straight out of the X-Files. Cattle don't naturally form geometric patterns, and attempts to recreate this behavior through various stimuli have failed completely. The farmer contacted veterinarians and livestock specialists, hoping for some explanation. none could provide one. The cows showed no signs of distress, injury, or unusual behavior after the incident. They simply returned to normal grazing patterns as if nothing had happened. Yet the precision of their circular formation suggested some external influence had orchestrated their position. The timing correlation with the triangular craft sighting was too specific to dismiss as coincidence. Modern radar analysis capabilities have transformed how we can examine the original 1993 data. Advanced algorithms that didn't exist during Pope's investigation can now identify patterns in radar returns that were previously dismissed as equipment malfunctions or atmospheric interference. The original radar operators noted uncorrelated targets appearing on their screens during the timeframe of witness sightings, but 1990s technology couldn't process these signals effectively. Contemporary analysis reveals that these radar signatures match specific characteristics now associated with UAP encounters. The targets displayed acceleration patterns that exceed known aircraft capabilities. They appeared and disappeared from radar coverage in ways that suggest advanced stealth technology or exotic propulsion systems. Most significantly, the radar data correlates precisely with witness location reports and timing estimates, providing technical validation for accounts that were previously considered purely anecdotal. Current understanding of UAP flight characteristics aligns remarkably with witness descriptions from the Cosford encounters. The triangular craft reportedly moved at approximately 35 to 40 mph during low-altitude phases, producing a low-frequency humming sound that was deeply unpleasant and could be felt as well as heard. These details match contemporary UAP reports with striking consistency. Modern witnesses describe identical acoustic signatures and similar subsonic movement patterns, followed by instantaneous acceleration. The craft's ability to suddenly accelerate away to the horizon in an instant represents one of the 5 observables that current UAP researchers use to classify unexplained encounters. This specific performance characteristic appears in classified military reports from 2024 and 2025, suggesting that the same technology witnessed in 1993 continues operating in modern airspace. The consistency across 3 decades indicates either remarkably stable propulsion technology or the same intelligence continuing to operate identical craft. Global UAP databases now contain hundreds of triangular craft reports from 2024 and 2025 that mirror the Cosford description. These contemporary sightings occur worldwide but concentrate around military installations and nuclear facilities, similar to the pattern established in the 1990s. The craft dimensions, flight characteristics, and acoustic signatures remain virtually identical across different continents and decades. This consistency suggests systematic operations rather than random appearances. Intelligence analysts have identified coordination between triangular craft sightings that implies organized activity. Multiple craft often appear simultaneously in different regions, operating at distances that would require instantaneous communication or predetermined coordination. The timing patterns suggest these aren't isolated phenomena, but components of larger operations that span global distances and extended timeframes. Current theories about non-human intelligence testing human responses find support in the Cosford behavioral patterns. The compulsive chase behavior exhibited by the pilot mirrors responses documented in contemporary UAP encounters. Witnesses frequently report feeling compelled to approach or follow unknown craft despite rational awareness of potential dangers. This suggests psychological effects that operate independently of conscious decision-making. The cattle arrangement adds another dimension to theories about environmental manipulation. If non-human intelligence was indeed testing human and animal responses, the perfectly circular cattle formation would represent a clear message. The precision and impossibility of natural occurrence ensure the anomaly would be noticed and remembered. The temporary nature of the effect suggests controlled experimentation rather than permanent environmental change. The Cosford incident established templates for understanding UAP behavior that remain valid 3 decades later. The combination of advanced propulsion capabilities, psychological effects on witnesses, environmental anomalies, and systematic operation patterns appears consistently across historical and contemporary cases. Yet even this extraordinary case pales in comparison to encounters that left physical evidence and permanent effects on military personnel. Rendlesham Forest through modern eyes. December 1980 changed everything we thought we knew about UFO encounters. Rendlesham Forest became Britain's most documented case, involving multiple U.S. Air Force personnel stationed at RAF Bentwaters who witnessed structured craft operating near one of NATO's most sensitive nuclear weapons storage facilities. The witnesses weren't random civilians or single observers making extraordinary claims. These were trained military personnel with security clearances who risked their careers by reporting what they saw. The health effects experienced by Rendlesham witnesses puzzled military doctors for decades. Personnel reported severe headaches, nausea, and skin irritation that appeared immediately after their encounters with the craft. Some developed long-term neurological symptoms that defied conventional medical explanation. Military medical records from the period show doctors prescribing treatments for radiation exposure despite having no official explanation for how airmen could have been exposed to such levels on a routine patrol. Current medical research validates what those 1980s doctors couldn't understand. Dr. Gary Nolan's Stanford studies on UAP experiencers reveal specific brain changes that match the neurological symptoms reported by Rendlesham witnesses. The caudate putamen region shows consistent alterations in individuals who have had close encounters with unknown craft. These changes correlate with the cognitive effects and persistent headaches that Rendlesham personnel experienced but couldn't explain to military physicians. Modern understanding of exotic radiation exposure aligns perfectly with the physical evidence collected at Rendlesham. Geiger counter readings taken at the landing site showed radiation levels of 0.07 milliroentgens per hour in the depressions where the craft allegedly touched down, compared to background measurements of 0.03 to 0.04 milliroentgens per hour in surrounding areas. The pattern of contamination matched no known source, creating hotspots in specific locations while leaving adjacent areas completely unaffected. Contemporary analysis techniques can now identify radiation signatures that indicate exposure to elements not found in terrestrial nuclear processes. Jim Peniston's binary code download represents one of the most extraordinary aspects of the entire case. During his close approach to the craft, Peniston reported receiving a stream of binary information directly into his consciousness. The experience felt like data being transferred at incredible speeds, filling his mind with sequences of ones and zeros that he couldn't understand. Under some kind of compulsion, he spent weeks after the incident writing out these binary strings, producing 16 pages filled with what appeared to be random digital code. He kept this information secret for decades before finally revealing it to researcher Linda Moulton Howe. When decoded using standard binary conversion methods, the sequences yielded precise latitude and longitude coordinates pointing to locations of historical significance around the world. These coordinates pinpoint ancient sites, religious locations, and areas associated with previous UFO encounters. The precision matches current GPS standards, indicating knowledge of Earth's geographical features that exceeds 1980s surveying capabilities. Most remarkably, some coordinates point to locations that didn't have historical significance until years after the Rendlesham incident, with archaeological discoveries made in the 1990s and 2000s confirming the importance of sites referenced in his 1980 download. Pentagon studies on UAP biological effects have created new frameworks for understanding what happened to Rendlesham witnesses. The Department of Defense now acknowledges that close encounters with unidentified craft can produce measurable physiological changes in human subjects. These effects include altered brain chemistry, immune system modifications, and genetic markers that persist years after the initial encounter. The symptoms match exactly what Rendlesham personnel reported to military doctors 4 decades ago. Recent witness testimonies have emerged as military personnel reach retirement age and feel freed from classification restrictions. These new accounts provide additional details that were suppressed during the original investigation. Retiring officers describe seeing additional craft that weren't included in official reports. Some reveal communications with base command that contradict the public narrative about military knowledge of the events. The nuclear facility connection has become impossible to ignore as similar incidents occur worldwide. RAF Bentwaters stored nuclear weapons in underground bunkers located within miles of where the craft appeared. The proximity wasn't coincidental according to current analysis of global UAP activity. Incidents at nuclear installations have increased dramatically in 2024 and 2025, with unknown craft demonstrating particular interest in weapons storage areas and missile silos. Contemporary cases at Malmstrom Air Force Base, F.E. Warren Air Force Base, and several international nuclear facilities show identical patterns to the Rendlesham encounter. Unknown craft appear near nuclear storage areas, demonstrate advanced surveillance capabilities, and affect both personnel and equipment in ways that suggest sophisticated intelligence gathering operations. The consistency across different countries and decades indicates systematic monitoring of human nuclear capabilities. Recently declassified documents have corroborated witness accounts that were previously dismissed as fabrication or misidentification. Communications logs between RAF Bentwaters and higher command show real-time reporting of unknown craft in the area. Radar data confirms the presence of objects that exhibited flight characteristics beyond conventional aircraft capabilities. The declassified materials reveal that military leadership knew the Rendlesham incident involved genuinely anomalous phenomena, with internal memos discussing national security implications and orders issued to limit discussion of the events. AARO investigations have validated the analytical techniques Pope developed during his original examination of the Rendlesham case. His methodologies for correlating witness testimonies, analyzing physical evidence, and evaluating radar data have become standard procedures for current UAP investigations. His emphasis on treating military witnesses as credible sources rather than delusional individuals represents a fundamental shift that continues influencing government UAP research. Modern analysis reveals Rendlesham as more than an isolated incident, but part of systematic surveillance operations targeting human nuclear capabilities. The craft behavior, witness effects, and location selection follow patterns that continue appearing in current UAP encounters. This consistency validates Pope's original conclusion that we're dealing with intelligence that possesses technology far beyond current human capabilities and maintains active interest in our most sensitive military installations. Yet not all encounters involve military installations or advanced craft displaying impossible flight characteristics. Some of the most unsettling cases in Pope's files involve something far more disturbing, entities that appear completely human until you examine their behavior closely enough to realize something fundamental is wrong. The Art Shop Aliens and Hidden Visitors. The London Art Shop incident stands as one of the most chilling examples of potential non-human entities attempting to navigate human society. This case suggests visitors who understand our world intellectually but lack the intuitive knowledge that comes from actually living within it. The encounter unfolded on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon when approximately 8 individuals entered a central London art supply store. Their appearance raised no immediate concerns: proper clothing, appropriate grooming, nothing obviously unusual about their physical characteristics. The shop owner initially assumed they were tourists or art students browsing her inventory with genuine interest. Their behavior revealed subtle wrongness that became impossible to ignore. The group moved with unnatural coordination, never separating or wandering independently like normal customers. They examined paintbrushes and sketch pads with scientific fascination, holding items at odd angles as if encountering these objects for the first time. Every movement appeared deliberate and synchronized, suggesting shared awareness rather than individual decision-making. The monetary transaction exposed their fundamental disconnect from human society. After nearly an hour of coordinated browsing, they approached the counter with a single pencil, the cheapest item available. The purchase became an elaborate production, with all 8 members gathering around to observe this simple transaction with intense focus. One produced a high-denomination banknote, far exceeding the pencil's minimal cost. When the shop owner calculated change and began counting out bills and coins, the entire group displayed genuine bewilderment. They stared at the returned money as if witnessing an incomprehensible ritual. Their apparent leader accepted the change but held it awkwardly, clearly uncertain about these additional pieces of paper and metal. The group exchanged glances that conveyed shared confusion about this unexpected aspect of human commerce. The shop owner attempted to explain the concept of change, assuming they were foreign visitors unfamiliar with British currency. Her explanation seemed to startle them further. They listened with expressions of concentrated effort, processing information about what appeared to be an alien concept. After receiving the change, they stood motionless for several moments before abruptly departing without normal social acknowledgments or pleasantries. The encounter left such a profound impression that the shop owner contacted authorities the same day, telling them there had been aliens in her shop. She described feeling certain that she had witnessed beings attempting to mimic human behavior while lacking fundamental understanding of basic social and economic interactions. The precision of their coordination combined with collective confusion about monetary exchange suggested intelligence operating according to different principles than human thinking.